I don't know whether I told you I got moved on into my new office. It isn't a new office, but it's a rebuilt. They took the petition out of Mr. Pratt between his office and Mrs. Shirley's office, which gives me both offices. And it's nice, big, roomy, and it's much cooler than where I was. I think when they get my cupboards built and so that I can put my things away, that it isn't going to be too bad. I don't have a window, but they're putting in air conditioning all through the inner offices, and I think it'll be comfortable. I do have more room, and it seems a lot more pleasant in many ways. And they're getting in. Mr. Pratt's office is done. He's got carpet in it, and it's really a beautiful office. So does Mrs. Funnels. And Mrs. Walton has her office next to Mrs. Funnels, and then Mrs. Shirley has one of the new offices, and then across the hall is medical records, and it's a huge room, and I'm glad to see them have it because they've never had a real nice office. They've always been too crowded, and they never have had an outside office, so I'm kind of glad to see that. They're beginning to get the outside of the place cleaned up and smoothed out. We have a tremendously large parking lot, and they're putting it all in blacktop, which is going to make it look much neater. And I think by next week they'll be getting grass seed in where they've had it torn up all summer, and maybe by fall we'll begin to look more like we're settled. There's still a lot of inside work. In fact, the sheet metal workers have been on strike since before we went out home, so it's been 7 or 8 weeks, and they're not settled yet. So all the air conditioning has been held up, and of course where they had the roof or the ceilings out, why they're still out all through the downstairs. And it makes it look kind of unfinished, but they've got the hallway, all the whole length of the downstairs now with a tile floor on, and it looks pretty. And bit by bit they're getting it so that they had planned to be in by the 1st of September, but they're not going to make it now. Even the medical care came out in the paper a couple of weeks ago that they would be all ready to move, but they are not. I walked over there today at noon, and they've got a lot of work yet to do. It's beginning to, probably a few rooms they could move into, but they've got quite a bit of cleanup work to do. An awful lot of other building going up through town now. South Mission is all blacktopped way out beyond the log cabin, way out. They made 4 lanes and added onto it, and then blacktopped from about to where the supermarket is, all the way out past the log cabin. And it's really a lovely street now. And there's other places going up in mine. There's building that's going on out around the college. It's just unbelievable. Mount Pleasant has surely gone beyond its boundaries in the last few years. I don't know whether you ever watched that program at noon called Call My Bluff. I don't know whether it's NBC, I believe it is, but that Mr. Thaller that lives out south of Mount Pleasant and that dug up those mastodon bones this spring, he was on that program during the week this week, and I run down to the dining room to watch it. There's a TV in the dining room or in the cafeteria, and I watched the program, and he came out, and that was his story, that they had 2 other stories. You know, it's the first time I ever saw the program, and they give 3 stories, and 2 of them are bluff. One of the other ones was that he was a collector of old rare stamps, and he had an unusual one, and the other one was that he was a collector of some other kind of artwork, and that he had a rare species or something. And then, of course, this one about the bones, and the fellow that read his story said that he was a collector of old bones, and that he had been digging a water well and dug up a mastodon skeleton, which was the truth, but they didn't guess it. They didn't call his bluff. And so he won $750 by stumping them. And it was quite interesting. And I was kind of hoping if I'd known in time that he was going to be on, I'd let you know. But it gives you kind of a thrill when you see somebody come out and they say, this is Mr. Floyd Soller of Mount Pleasant, Michigan. It would have been interesting to you, I'm sure, if you didn't see it. So, bit by bit, Mount Pleasant is becoming quite widely known. And once in a while we get our names in the paper. Well, let's see. I guess I'm conquering that tape. There's still quite a little bit there, but see if I can think of anything else. Mrs. Corey called me a while ago. She was telling me that Mr. Nicemonger, Evelyn's father, is dying with cancer, that they'd called them children home. He has a cottage up at West Branch, and Evelyn told me not long ago that he had retired from the ministry and that they were spending the summer up at West Branch at their cottage, and that they had gone up several weekends because he wasn't very well. But apparently he has cancer, and it started hemorrhage profusely, and so they called him home up the other night. And Evelyn called back and said that they wouldn't be in this weekend to sing in the choir and take their responsibilities that they usually take care of. So I felt kind of sorry to hear that. The last time I saw Mr. Nicemonger was about the time Virginia and Larry were married, and he was still a young man then. And it's hard for me to believe that he's gotten to be an old man, and now that his days are numbered, probably not very many left for him. Well, let's see. Helen Bugby had a little baby girl yesterday at the hospital, and Mr. Machuda's in the hospital sick again. And I guess Mrs. Machuda's having trouble again with that problem that runs in the family. She was coming to church so regularly, but now she hasn't been out for quite a while, and so Mrs. Corey began to investigate because she's a teacher of the adult class, and she asked Helen or Leroy or somebody if she had been offended, and he said no. He said, don't ever think that. She's just been acting kind of peculiar again, and they seem to think that that's one of Mr. Bugby's troubles that's got him in the hospital, is the worry and problem of this weakness they seem to have. Too bad, because I saw her over at the hospital the other day. Bonnie was up, and they came in to see her dad. And Mrs. Machuda was real pleased and tickled to see me. I hadn't realized that she hadn't been coming out to class. So I was surprised when Mrs. Corey told me tonight. I knew I hadn't seen her in church lately, but I really hadn't thought too much about it because so many are gone, and there's so much going on that I really hadn't noticed. Well, let's see. Becky's sister is being married tomorrow, and I guess everybody's just heartbroken over the affair. I guess he isn't a Christian, and he's much older than she is. And I know it's really upset Becky a lot. That in fact, I guess about all she's written to Mrs. Corey lately is her disappointment and concern over Barbara. Corey's aren't going to the wedding, and I guess Becky's mother is really quite upset and disappointed. And David and his dad are just getting along so well together. They just seem to enjoy each other, and Becky says that David, they're really enjoying him this time. He seems so grown up and so helpful and willing to do. He's been working in the print shop, and Phil says that he really is good help, and she said he plays with the kids, he seems to enjoy them, and he takes care of them, and she says, and drives the car. He does that, a lot of that, and he seems to think he wants to stay over there this winter. So it might be that God is answering prayer for them. I told Ada that I felt like now that David was a man, that he and his dad would be better friends, and I think it's going to work out that way, and it may be that it's just right and timed right and everything. I guess he's enjoying your magazine a lot that you got for him on race cars or whatever it was. Becky mentioned it in her letter, and said how much they appreciated Jim and Janet going to his graduation, and that he was surely enjoying the graduation present from Jim and Lois. So I hope that everything will work out for them. Well, Daddy's getting a long haircut. I probably had to wait a long time. In fact, maybe he waited until he won't get it tonight. I feel like I ought to be doing something. I should have gone over tonight when we got our groceries last night, so I didn't have to go shopping tonight. And I should have gone back over there after supper and finished cleaning that floor, I guess, but I didn't feel like it, so I didn't go. But I sure would like to get some more work done over there. I'll try to get through so I can go over tomorrow afternoon and work with Daddy. Maybe we can get through. Well, it's 7:30. I wonder what you're doing. When do you go back on your own time again? Doesn't seem possible. It's been over a month. Well, a month ago now we were at home. It's been kind of a full summer, and yet we've settled down into a routine now so that we aren't doing much of anything but just working, it seems like. Sounds like we'll be having company next month, though. From Lillian's letter, the McLaughlins are getting kind of excited about coming on their vacation. I just wonder if Grandma might decide to spend the winter with Harriet after she gets back that way and looks the situation over. Maybe she will go back and stay out of her trailer this winter. I hope she will do something different. Well, let's see our tape. It's getting down there. I can't stop like you do. I'm too scotched to waste it. If I just prattle along about any old thing, I feel like it's something to listen to. Probably you don't have time to listen to it, but at least I feel like I'm chattered. And it sure beats writing letters. We sure have enjoyed this tape recorder. I've gotten far more worth out of it than I put into it. I'm hoping we'll hear from you before very much longer. Though I realize and understand how difficult it is to get these things in. Grammy sure would love to see those kids again. It seems like it's been so long since we've seen you. Let's see. We got Jim's letter and enjoyed it. I'm glad he had his heart set on something that he could spend his birthday money on. I hope he got what he was looking for.